not the watch commander, the beat officer came and said, you got to get out of here, and I had this conflict, and he was just like, do what I tell you to do, and that's it. I had a talk. Then a little while later, the watch commander, his superior, came over, and he was actually quite empathic, and I was like empathizing and back and forth, and we worked out, negotiated, the tent being there and stuff. So I just saw, and he actually said, well, we want to hold your right to, free speech. So I'm putting speech, and I'm also looking at Berkeley, that Berkeley was the home of the free speech movement. Everybody's speeching, but nobody's listening. So we need a free empathy. We now need the free empathy movement. So Berkeley can be the home of the, people don't just speech, but they empathize and they dialogue. So that's kind of the tagline there. And then I was thinking of what is the overall framing, because I need to kind of have an intellectual framework of why I'm there, what I'm or what we're advocating for. And there's within the law, in America at least, First Amendment, you can have freedom of assembly, and you can do a petition for grievances. So what I'm saying is the grievance is we're speaking out against our national empathy deficit. And so I'm saying we have a national empathy deficit, and I'm protesting that empathy deficit.
Good.
And that's my free speech. My speech is to protest the empathy deficit, and we need to do something about it. And I'm here, plop, to protest this, that we have an empathy deficit. And then, like with the police officer, when he says you got to get out of here, it's like I'm saying, I'm protesting the empathy deficit. I feel we need empathy for you. Do you think you need more empathy? And I also think we need to have empathy for everybody else, and people have to have empathy for each other. And so I'm kind of looking for the vocabulary, around that. But I think that's kind of the core that I'm looking at right now. So that's. Then there's creating flyers. I got a couple of flyers. I sent one out to the email list. Is a set of, have two flyers. One is just general, about what the Occupy Empathy is about. The other one is a set of steps. It's like how can you get involved? And it's step one is, support Occupy Empathy. Step two, receive. You want to receive empathy, free listening. So anybody can come and be heard. Two, you can offer free empathy to anyone. You can be here and offer empathy to everyone. Three is conflict resolution. Got a conflict? Bring it to the empathy tent. Four is training, conflict mediation training. And then I have some others like empathic design. So the human-centered design as a framework that we can actually teach some empathic design. And then people can also join a core team, which is going to be a empathic design team. And you can offer financial support, or you can request a workshop, training, for your organization, and then there's a little form there where you can fill out the name of your organization. These are all check boxes, so you just check them off. And then you can also bring your process. Like, Martin, you're a mediator. Well, you can come and share your mediation, any empathy building skill. It's what it really is Occupy Empathy is a platform for empathy building processes, and everybody's welcome to offer their process. Felicia can bring, yoga or the shared, the massage or the shared consciousness, whatever process but it's under the empathy building banner. So anything that reduces stress is going to be good for building empathy, because less stress you have, your empathy goes up, the more relaxed you are. So, so that's kind of the, it's, I've got to still call Berkeley. I'm going to try to get a permit to do this. The police officer was, gave me the info on getting a permit. If they wouldn't give me one, I would still do it. I always figure I can be the first person arrested for empathy. We need some martyrs. So yeah, so that's kind of a bit of a framework. I'm thinking maybe this Friday or next week, and start ramping up. I need to get the tent. I got the needle and thread. I'm sewing all these Velcro strips around the it's a 10 by 10 tent, so canopy. So I'm putting those Velcro strips around the top, so we can easily stick signs, these short signs, as well as the side panels. I have in big letters. There's signs there, but the police were kind of objecting to that for now because it was kind of blocking traffic. So I can only have one. So I kind of negotiated that. So that's kind of the gist of it. I'm kind of excited about it. I feel it's bringing everything together. Oh, the other thing is requesting people, if people want to do empathy circles. It's empathic listening as well as empathy circles. And I've already done several circles, and people seem to find it supportive.
It's in the tent, doing the circles.
In the tent, yeah, right around the tent or in the tent. Like there was one guy from Africa. I don't know if he's American, but if he has citizenship yet. But we started talking about empathy and feelings, and he said in Africa, or at least where he's from, I guess some tribal area, that men can't show emotion. Yeah. But they're supposed to really contribute to the well-being of others, really, but they can't show emotion. And he was very inhibited, like he was like just really having trouble and really conscious of his inhibition. It had really affected his relationship with his girlfriend, and so forth. And then I said, well, let's do an empathy circle. So it was with the person who was from Korea, him and myself, and we're doing empathic listening. And to begin with, he just struggled. He would say, oh, I don't have anything to say. So I say, okay, I'm hearing you don't have anything to say. Is that right? And then got him to start doing reflective listening to someone else in the circle. And we did about 4 rounds of that, and he couldn't say, and he didn't have anything to say. And then suddenly it was like as if the floodgates opened. He just started talking and talking and talking. So it was really quite amazing. And he was going to go see his kind of ex-girlfriend. I said, oh, you can take these techniques to, go talk with him and her, and so he was interested. So there's all kinds of interactions like that that I've been having. And some people who were from organizations, like there was someone from a socialist group that was meeting in Berkeley. She said, oh, we need something like that. And I said, yeah, I can give a talk, or I can give a talk about empathy, can do a workshop on empathy, can do training on empathy. So I see it as a whole. There's a whole snowball. It's like it's all kind of taking shape. That's and right. It fits in with doing workshops, doing training. I can see one problem with people I'm seeing who are in the field of empathy is it's really hard to make a living. It's like. And so I kind of see this might be a methodology that the Occupy Empathy is almost, it's like a huge banner for your services in a sense. If you're doing mediation or empathic listening, you're out there in public and you're kind of like doing the work all the time. So you kind of grow by doing it. So that's kind of where things are now. So I'm just kind of wondering how all that kind of lands with you, or what thoughts come up. I'm sorry Karen dropped out. Wonder what happened.
Yeah, it's a It's amazing to think that you could be doing this and she could be on her cell phone in Australia, you know, participating. And then obviously something comes up and you've got to go.
Battery probably died or something.
Something like that, yeah. It's, you know, it's interesting you talk about making a living with empathy. One of the things that I've been hearing of lately is this people offering cuddling. As a service that people pay for. I mean, it sounds very, very strange, but apparently there was a woman here in Victoria who started it, and she said she had, you know, people lining up, you know, to completely all non-sexual, just you know, have a just the desire. I mean, there must be such a dearth of ability to have that human contact in people's lives that they, at some point or other, are willing to pay for just somebody to be physical with, just somebody to hug. I mean, it's quite amazing, and it is kind of a physical extension, if almost, of empathy in some ways.
It raises oxytocin, so the physical contact is going to be raising oxytocin, which is going to open you, reduce stress, and kind of open you to be more empathic. So it's definitely, if you're wanting to come down and offer some cuddling,
if you hug somebody for longer than 10 seconds, it actually does, you know,
more effective.
Change the oxytocin levels. Yeah. Yeah, so a 10-second hug is good. But I must. I've just got a few more minutes I can stay. But I don't know whether Felicia wanted to comment on some of what you were talking about there too.
Yes, I did. Thanks, Martin. I wanted to say I'm very pleased. It makes me smile like crazy seeing all of the pieces that you're putting together. I can feel the work evolving, and you know, the penny dropping and the circles of influence. I feel like you're touching energetically the vision of things that are unfolding, Edwin. And I think that, you know, to create something that's never really been created before, a culture of empathy, is a very high. How can I say it? It's an integral piece for human evolution. And I know that you said that, wow, like this is a huge vision, I want to affect the world. Well, I don't think that you're in this group. I feel that all of us feel very similarly. Like, we know that what we're doing is really affecting the world. And how many individual people do we actually get to touch? I remember one time I was in a class where they did a mathematical estimation of kindness, how many people it would affect from one person. You touch at least 1 million people in a lifetime by just doing good works in an everyday kind of a way. So when you actually have it as a focus, it is a wave. Multiple millions. Multiple. Because you have a purpose, a vision and a purpose. So I like that you gave us this report, and now the thing is that what I was saying before when I first started talking was about your integrity. And most often when people are energy workers, like I hang out with energy workers all the time, they may have the very same problem that their clients have, but they can see it for their client, but they can't really see it for themselves. So self-empathy is your greatest tool. So when you were saying the things about that I need 30 or 40 people, I just wanted to say to you that if you practice empathetic holding the space for yourself around what that 30, 40 people will initiate in you and your movement, these 30, 40 people actually represent all the all those points of light that you were describing about how you were seeing empathy touching the world. And those 30, 40 people actually carry abilities, skills, visions, experiences, and wisdom that can carry this off. It isn't just supporting you, that this team that you're thinking about is supporting an idea that they're holding too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just have to meet each other. And so when you think that you're the conduit for these people to be so attracted to each other, they can't help it. They can't help it. So this really, not sticky, but really exciting, vibrant sort of feeling that I'm feeling coming up in you, that is very different than last week. This is that you're catching on to the energy of your own movement, which is really lovely. And so I'm feeling that empathically with you, that it's actually feeding you, it's feeding me. I don't know how Martin feels about it, but I really like it a lot. So this space that you're in is actually really quite attractive, to be at the head of this original idea that I really love so much.
Mm.
You're it. You're it. There's nobody else. You're it. Right?
Well, I do have that experience. Like after I finished the last couple of deployments, is I felt a real integrity within myself. Meaning, I wasn't just, which I'm often kind of in my head. I kind of felt like I'm in my whole body experience.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing what I should be doing, and it felt really good. It's like I felt really. In fact, I was going to like end the last deployment at like 3 o'clock. People kept coming up, and another conversation. Another guy was like 5 o'clock, and which is a little after dark here. That kind of, so that integrity. When you're talking about integrity, that really resonates with me, because I feel a certain integrity. It feels like all the things I've been doing kind of fit together. If I was just doing workshops, I always feel like it's like not enough. It's like, but that it's going for the whole global reach. I mean, that just kind of fits. But it's totally scalable. It's scalable to one person as well as to kind of a larger vision. I mean, that's the interesting thing about empathy. It can be totally scalable. So, and then it's also learning by doing. The best way, it's like dance. We can sit and study dance, or we can get out there and you start dancing and you stumble, and you kind of mess up, but then you always kind of come back, and then, it's in the body. So I feel like that's what I'm doing. I'm kind of like getting into the embodiment of it. I do wish I had more support. The best support I need right now, I think, is kind of presence, like we're doing now, and for me able to share what's coming up and have a space to share, so I have a sense of connection with others. So this is very helpful just in terms of being able to open up and kind of share the feelings and thoughts and so forth that I'm having. So it's I know so one guy, Dominic Barter, who does restorative circles in Brazil, and he has a group of people, and these are conflict situations where he's holding an empathic space, and he has a group of people who are just there to empathize with him as like empathic support, so that when he's gone into the hell of the middle of the conflict and getting lost and all the pain and all that, he's got somewhere to go to, and people are just there for him to be heard, to kind of help him get grounded. And I feel this is very similar. So just as we've talked here, I felt that that's been very supportive. Just your presence and being able to kind of share these thoughts and just have that empathic presence. So grateful for that.
Well, thank you.
I think Martin and Edwin, when you're sitting in the company of your peers, there's more of a reciprocity occurring between us, because we're not we're not in the place of arguing or places of opposition proving anything. That whole idea of mutual support actually brings up the best in everyone. It really, really does, because when you're not defending yourself, your best ideas can come bubbling right up to the top because you're in the environment of acceptance, right? That environment of acceptance brings out the creative creature in all of us, and I think we all really need that, the nurturing of our best. Like when I was saying to Karen that empathy allows us to celebrate joy, it also allows us to celebrate love and peace as well. And most people are spending their time doing without those nurturing three special and absolutely integral aspects of ourself as love, peace, and joy. We can't actually live well without it. We really can't. And so the empathizing with each other in this supportive way is building our skills in how to use love, peace, and joy in our dialogue, in our co-creativeness. And I think that's very essential to creating a movement.
And it's also what I'm hoping with the Occupy Empathy. It's kind of like planting the flag and saying, here, if you're into empathy, here's the space for you to come to. You don't have to go into be the demonstrator. You don't have to choose the sides of, the left or the right, progressive or conservative. This is a space for you, and bring your empathic energy, and if we can start getting that energy going, I think it could be really powerful. It's kind of like getting ramped up to that point. There's a lot of pain, like going over and setting up the tent on my own because there's not a lot of support. It's a little, it's a little like, oh, here I am by myself, and not a lot of physical support or emotional support. So I think I'm just trying to get to that point where there's 3, 4, 5 people for that core group, I think. But it's the people that have that empathic presence is what I'm looking for. I think then we can really start drawing even more, right? It's kind of like a magnet. If we can create a space and that magnetic energy, and then start transforming people who are on the edge. So many people, I couldn't believe when I'm asking, well, what do you think about this? Because I ask people, what do you think about the tent? Because I do kind of a design approach, which is the tent is a prototype. Tell me, how does this resonate to you? It's like they say, oh, this is really great. It's hopeless, but it's great. It's like so many people are so disillusioned. It's like, oh, this is good, but it'll never, work. So it's surprising how many people have given up.
I have a technique. I do tarot readings sometimes at the folk festivals, and that is like a huge event here in Vancouver, as I'm sure you probably have one in Berkeley. And so there is so much vying for attention, for creative attention, with a lot of people coming. So what I do is I have learned that there are people that are waiting for me. And I just sit in that space and I say, okay, come on, I'm here, I'm waiting for you. And so it is at first just a game that I play, but after a while I can say, oh my gosh, they're coming, I can feel it right on my shoulder here, they're coming from that direction. It's gotten that accurate that I can feel my heart starting to stimulate up when I feel that I've opened up the space for somebody who really needs me. You might just give that a try. At first, you might feel like you're pretending it, but you'll start to feel your essential, integral self will start giving you signals. It's a wisdom thing. It's a cellular thing that every person.
So tune into the felt experience and just kind of act on that felt experience, like what is really arising.
Exactly. That's right. And
so act on that, whatever's arising. Yeah. Are you thinking like at the tent, like being present, or in general, or like at the tent, just kind of, okay.
Anytime when you're in the place of representing Occupy, empathy, just before you even get there, you set the space. Like, here's the future. I don't know if you can you see my head here. Here's the future. It's just a little above your head. It's not way out there. It's like this, where you just come up, and here you are looking at the future. So it's just like a hat on your head, and you pull it down, and you're into your immediate future. It's that close to you. So it's like you got to smell the next moment coming right towards you. And that's part of being empathic, is that you're using the nanosecond. You're using the nanosecond to be so present that the future is right there, right there beside you. And it's a magnetic kind of feature that people feel drawn to somebody that is in full expectation of being fulfilled. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, there's I mean, I have that experience like in a deep empathy circle that you go deeper and deeper and deeper, and then it's almost like a sense of oneness, and then and you can just kind of feel what's going to come out. There's a felt sense of between everyone what that next step is. I'm also doing a weekly workshop with a friend of mine on the U-Lab. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's from Otto Scharmer. He's from MIT, and he has a process for how change happens. And it is about empathy. It's actually that you really empathize deeply, and you get into that. It's actually kind of creating a model for what you're talking about, in that you go deeply in, and then you go into the emergent future. It's like, what is the emergent future? And it's got a whole series of process. It's a free workshop that they're doing, like 6-week, and we've got something like 20-25 people on Sundays. We've been doing this, and we actually did have a you break into small groups to dialogue about some aspect of it, and this kind of came up. It was really, how do we get into what's the emergent? And one of the gateways actually was to go to our fears. Like, what is the fears that are there, and can we really speak to those? And somebody brought up a couple of fears, and just the whole energy changed. It's like everything became more real. So I see also the Occupy Empathy as a platform for those kind of processes, that to bring something there and share it in the community. There's someone else who does, the first person I set up with, Sperry, he does a process where you sit in a circle and you each share what is you're just sharing what do you see as emerging in the moment, and you kind of go around, everybody's sharing, and it kind of gets you into a deeper sense of that connection and oneness. So the emergent oneness or something process. So there's all kinds of processes out there that I hope we can bring all those in eventually to have, I guess, that platform. I keep bringing that up, that that the Occupy Empathy can be a kind of a learning, growing platform for those processes.
Yeah, I think that's really great.
So I'm just going to head out, Felicia. I just wanted to say that I really, really enjoyed that last little description you gave of. It was great wisdom was just coming forth there. I was really enjoying that a lot. So thank you very much for that. And it's really nice to see you too, Edwin. And I have been called. So
okay. Do you think you'll return, or how are you for going forward? Or
ideas? If I can just sort of drop in and and just see how it goes forward. But I was very enjoying that last little exchange very, very much between you both.
Great. Okay.
Martin,
well, there's an intention.
Where do you live, Martin?
Where?
Yeah.
I'm in Victoria.
Right near me?
Yeah, just across the water. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, maybe we could exchange some way to keep in connection.
Okay.
I would like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Both of your contact info is on that sign-up sheet.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Sure.
My email is there. Just gold@shaw.ca is where I am.
Okay.
And that would be good. That would be good to be on each other's lists, so we
I
can,
would love it.
as we're putting stuff out, we can do that. That would be. I'd enjoy that. That'd be good.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Nice seeing you, Martin.
Bye, Martin. Well, wow, this has been really great.
Yeah, I really enjoyed our last couple meetings together. So it's.
You said a couple of things.
Nice energy. So.
You said something about. Okay, where am I going here? Getting into the emergent, right? So that is kind of that's the thought about that the next nanosecond, the future that you're designing is like right there, so close. And so to feel part of the momentum of the moment and the space that you're holding, it's like almost like a stacking sort of a thing, like a Lego thing, right? Next, and you just carry that integrity with you in every nanosecond. It doesn't go anywhere. It just stays right with you, like this constant beam of intelligence and wisdom and humanness. So that there wouldn't be a time when you would not be prepared for the next moment, because the next emerging moment would be so perfect for anything that would come up, because you'd be available for it.
Yeah, I'm thinking that empathy is like that. It's like empathizing, putting yourself into the next moment, so that empathy becomes like the space. It's like it becomes the spaciousness within which it creates. I think it's like what you're talking about. The empathy creates that, and an empathic environment creates that safe space for the emergent. For what's going to emerge. And that's actually what that whole U Lab is about. Is it's going into empathy, and even like a deeper empathy of letting go of your will to allow whatever authentically wants to emerge into the space. You know, it's like instead of trying to control it, just kind of going with that. I need to look at it a little bit clearer. I've been kind of trying to understand that emergent part, because there's the empathy, but there's also letting what wants to emerge without trying to control it or have any will over it. And I know for myself, there's a sense of fear and anxiety that happens, right? Is to let go of where things are going to go. It's really scary, especially in an unsafe kind of a world where you get judged and everything else. So that aspect of I notice it within myself, that I start like tensing up and getting all kind of anxious inside when, especially in kind of a larger community. So anyway, that's like a cutting edge for me. And anyway, that came up in that group too, about the it's kind of like having trust for that emergent too. Like there's and the more we do it, and that's what I like about like empathic listening, is kind of like a gateway. It starts building that trust. That what is going to come up will be heard. It won't be suppressed. People won't leave. That's not going to be a fight, that it's going to be accepted and heard and taken in, and there's going to be a sense of connection instead of being alienated or something like that. So anyway, that sense of going into the fears seems to be a real gateway, one gateway that we found going deeper.
Well, these are some of the more new processes that I've been learning, and Thomas Hubel does the transparent communication, and it's quite interesting because there's very little dialoguing.
Mm-hmm.
That you hold the space. I mean, you can say you get 3 minutes to say the main thing that is bothering you, and then maybe the space is being held for you with 3 people, and they each get 3 minutes to say how they read that energy coming from you. And what I really love is that this reciprocalness of being empathic is that the story that we have to express is really only a very small part of it. But when we share it out there with other people,
the full expression of the felt experience,
yeah,
whole somatic felt experience coming out there, yeah.
So when
creating a space acceptance for that.
When it comes out, the other persons that say what they got from what you said.
Oh,
You don't also just feel heard from what you said. You feel filled out because they go, I could feel your heart racing. I felt your temperature change. I felt your tummy cramp up, right? And so some people, in the way they're empathic, they have gifts, that you're maybe shut down to a little bit.
Oh,
So when that person reads back to you, oh, I felt your heart fluttering as you were talking, right? And so that sensibility is that, wow, they were that close to me, that's how my communication, how it really is. This is what's behind what I said. They heard more than what I said. They felt me. And so there isn't like an expression or a movement or any kind of energy that goes unnoticed really by anyone. It's just that certain people have abilities to translate it back to you. And that's the wonderful thing about being with a supportive group, is that they all have their artistry of being able to be empathic with certain energies. And they'll read the same thing in you as somebody else, but they get it.
So I think the whole power of empathy is it brings in all these other perspectives. So
That's
it's
right.
like it creates like multiple eyes on the in the same environment, the same phenomenon or experience, and so that really enriches the whole.
Yeah, that's because your emotions then can be perceived as multifaceted, multidimensional. Because while they're reading something off of you, they're hearing your grandfather's voice in the tenseness in your back, right? In the stuckness in his feet or something. So they get to read your ancestry right in everything you said. And this brings to mind the fact that human beings are the culmination of all the lives they've ever lived.
Yeah. Well, I think in terms of, I see how does this fit into Occupy Empathy? And for me, it's that Occupy Empathy is like an empathy growth momentum. So it's like we're wanting to keep building more and more and more to constantly transform. It's like to keep growing into more and more of the crevices of pain and disconnection and fear, and there's something about that this becomes a piece in that engine. I guess the engine of empathy. Maybe engine is not the best metaphor, but it kind of is, like a reaper of transforming. Can we create an energy that can transform conflict and disconnection into connection and that sense of you know, that creativity and problem solving and growth and care and love, and you know, so I think so it's going to be kind of building that engine. So I think these are all like pieces of that.
Well, it's actually building the architecture of humanity in a conscious way. That the fact is that all existence really breathes together. Their hearts beat together. For instance, just trees alone. They thought that just trees of the same species would signal to each other, look out, there's spores coming, there's a bacteria coming. So suddenly all these trees that are in a certain area that are the same kind of trees, they suddenly get a stickiness on the outside of their bark. And so they've all told each other, and they're horticulturalists are watching this. The one tree gets it at the far side, and the energy's moving across in this direction, maybe by the way the wind is blowing. And by the time, see how fast this group of trees all does the same protective modality because they talk to each other. Well, then they discovered, oh my gosh, it isn't just those trees. When that type of tree knows it, they send it to the other trees, and the other trees get it too, and they do their own thing to block that bacteria, you know, whatever that might be. So you can see that it just doesn't go by particular species, like black people versus white people or Chinese people, you know, that the whole idea about the existence of humanity is an actual organism.
So it could translate to your pets, right? To your animals, to your cats and your dogs, and so the energy is kind of flowing throughout.
Exactly. Exactly so.
Well,
so
what
so the thing is that when I'm still attempting to make empathy real for people by showing how it already exists. Not where we have a lack of it, but where it's already flourishing. And because people love to emulate what's working. They love to emulate jumping on a good bandwagon already. And so
I hear that a lot. People say, I don't want to be the one that starts the bandwagon. I want to jump on it when it's rolling. I hear it over and over again. Amazing. Yeah. Exactly.
So they're already telling you that. So you need to empathize with the fact that they're saying, oh, empathy is happening already. You've had it in your life over and over again. There are people who you trusted, people who have saved your life, people who have saved your bacon. You couldn't be standing here in front of me now if it hadn't already happened to you many times. Right?
Yeah, that was Marco Iacoboni. I asked him, what's the one thing we could do to create a culture of empathy? He said, if people understood how mirror neurons work, he felt that would be like one of the strongest motivate for that, in the sense that knowing that it's giving the physiological scientific explanation for that sense of connection and mutual connection that you're talking about. So,
well, most of us though are not scientists, and so that would be really lovely for people who understood that language. But we really are. We're really trying to affect the working class and impoverished people, because they have less opportunity to bless the fact that they actually are sustained by empathy every day.
Yeah.
When they think it's survival, but it's actually empathy. It's more than survival, because when I used to listen to street people, kids, when I first moved to Vancouver, I moved from a small town to London, Ontario. It's a university hospital town, and there's not much poverty going on there. It's very obvious when you see it. You wouldn't just pass it by and just ignore it. So when I came out here, I called my mom and I went, oh my God, Mom, this is terrible. I don't know if I want my daughter to come out here or not. There's so many teenagers on the street, and you can see they're homeless. You know they're homeless. They've got this built-up grime on them, and they look anxious. And then I start just listening, right? And I hear, have you got a place to stay tonight? Where are you going to stay tonight?
Yeah.
Right? Oh, and then I hear, an hour later, I'm walking down the other way. And because I was working with street kids, and by the time there'd be 30 people to go and sleep in one apartment, because they all wanted to help somebody else out who didn't have a place to stay. Oh, you don't? Well, I know of a guy who's got a place to stay, and he's got a friend, right? And that place would be packed. They'd be stacked like cordwood in this little apartment. But they'd be safe, right? So I'm saying that I think that empathy is an integral part of our humanness already. But I think it's our best kept secret.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of addressing, like, doing an Occupy, you know, being out there and finding, you know, ways of engaging with people. I mean, to get there, I mean, the thing I'm looking at is it's the struggle of finding a team, you know, a core team that's supportive. I wish there was, all it takes is like 2 or 3 others. So I just haven't been able to find that. The first time Sperry came, and you know, he's got his own, you know, shared consciousness groups that he does, and it's like just one aspect, but it's like this, he just sticks with that, you know. And so this is right. So people have these one processes that they kind of stick with. I had some concern about the NVC community because I had interactions with them, and they have like one process, and it's like the process. And I don't know, there's, you know, everybody uses empathy, but it's like there's not a shared vision that empathy is actually the glue that's gluing all these different things together, you know. So I don't know, I guess that's my struggle, is like how to I mean, I can just keep doing it on my own to begin with.
Well, no, I want to say that, okay, you used the word suffering. You're suffering because you're not able to attract these people. There's 2 things I wanted to show you. I have them on my mirror. Just a minute. Okay, here they are. You might want to write them down if they sound good. What could I see if I focus past all limitations?
I can remember that.
Okay, and the other one is, what can I create and generate differently that I haven't acknowledged before? What can I create and generate differently that I haven't acknowledged before? So when I say that to you, where do you feel that in your body?
Well, what comes up is kind of that multidimensional quality of, you know, when there's multiple people, there's multiple perspectives on the challenge at hand, or what's kind of emerging. And so that's the first thing that comes to mind, is that each of those is saying, well, what is the new thing? Is it'd be good to even have a couple of people to be kind of brains riffing off of each other, building on each other's perspectives to so that's the first thing that came, but that's, and
so that's in your mind. What does your body say?
Well, that was also a felt experience. I could feel it kind of out here. I could feel these multiple.
Okay, now I can feel it. It actually goes down your arms and out your fingers.
Yeah, it was like a bit of an anxiety came up. So it's like there's these thing, I can feel this anxiety, kind of this, you know, kind of, which is in here. It's like this sense of of you know, it's like a little bit of a shortness of breath. It's like there's this spacious, warm feeling, and in the middle of this is this ball of kind of anxiety that comes up around that. It's like it's like
So,
this is.
so if you were to just tuck in a little bit underneath that anxiety, just close your eyes for a second, tuck in underneath there, just feel underneath that and see what comes up.
If I go deeper into it, it changes shape from being a ball to sort of goes and goes through my bones and in through my spine. It's almost as if it's spreading out. Instead of being a ball here, it's starting to spread out through
Okay,
my.
so what if you were to just hold empathetic space for that for a moment and just watch what it does? But you got to close your eyes, though, just so you can hold space.
It seems to be going into my breath and kind of inhibiting my breath, like my.
Okay, don't tell me it. Don't speak any words to me. Just I'll hold space for you, and you hold space for yourself. And just watch it with as much empathy as you possibly can. No judgments. Don't make a story around it. Just. As much as you possibly can, just breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And so,
Mm-hmm.
How are you doing?
I was feeling the kind of the anxieties, and it kept morphing into different shapes and feelings and different textures and moving.
Yeah.
And kind of the bigger shift was starting to see it kind of out in the world, kind of as a bigger. It's almost like being aware of the larger pain and jaggedness kind of all around out in the world. And it took it from just being inside of me to kind of connecting. And I'm just kind of imagining the opposite is when I kind of see that out, then it kind of comes in, you know. So.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you're seeing your relationship with it.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's really good work.
I mean, I see that out in general, that there's so much pain kind of just floating in society, you know, all around. You know, it's just in the environment and everywhere. And I kind of saw the relationship from it being inside of myself and the kind of the connection to the outside. So it's almost like that comes in and, you know, it's like I kind of take it on or something like that.
Yeah, so, that's right.
So seeing it externalized, there was something nice about that. I kind of thought, oh, it's externalized. It gives me ability to see the pain out there, kind of in an externalized awareness. I mean, I don't know, in a broader. Oh, usually, yeah. So I kind of shifted in kind of new angles.
You see that it's an environment that you're sharing with other people?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like a shared environment.
Yes. Yeah. That's really good. Now that's just a little tiny example of what transparent communication is like. Without doing the words, if I just we go in that space of empathic trust, and that I hold the space for you to just be so empathic with your own, what your body, mind, and spirit is showing you, and you just following it, but not making a story out about anything, just observing. And of course, you are gonna. I mean, how can you not discern? But even the one thing I like about what Edwin, Thomas says, that a story released into a new story is still a story.
Yeah.
Right, and so identifying with it. So when I saw you move stuff out many times. I saw you go through many different phases, and your spine was involved quite often as it was traveling through your bones and stuff. So that's pretty deep when it's in your bones.
Yeah.
Right to your bones.
It's like icicles. It's like sometimes the anxiety or the fear is as if it's like icicles in the core of my bones. Like the marrow is like icicles. It's
your blood. Well, that's where you make your blood, is inside your bones. The marrow becomes blood. Right. So when
you're seeing a connection between the marrow and the ice and the blood, making the blood.
When your blood turns to ice. Ice in my veins, you know.
Right.
Well, gee, that's huge, Edwin. That's really huge. Because your blood can't flow if it's turning into ice. You get frozen.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's in the bones are frozen. It's almost like the frozen bones.
Yeah.
So wow, yeah, that's nice. Well, there's that's what I hope we can do, is create that space for. I mean, this is really, really, really helpful.
Yeah, for me too.
So,
me too, hon.
So, but I am thinking we've gone about an hour and a half. That might be a good time.
My partner's just come back now.
Okay.
With supper out.
Okay.
Well, this has been really great. So what can I generate? What could I create and generate differently that I have never acknowledged before?
Okay, I'll hold that.
Oh, you just did it.
Yeah, it was. It was seeing the problems out in the environment to start tinkering with, actually.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Have a
Okay.
nice evening, and we'll talk again.
Okay.